Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mortuary of Shadows. The Mortuary of Shadows is brought to you by a group called Poetic Slice of Life, which is located on allpoetry.com. It's a wonderful website to come and share poetry, stories, have some fun. I want to thank Kevin and his crew for keeping that website up, giving us some place to hang out. Poetic Slice of Life is owned and ran by my lovely wife and co-host, Kay, who's sitting next to me.
Hello.
Hello, and I am her Wesley Stephen 76. That song was by Kevin MacLeod, the song that opens our mortuary every week. He is also a somebody who offers music for free on YouTube if you want to check them out. Let's see. Any poem that we read tonight that the author is not here to read themselves, we have been given written permission to read that poem. And also, special disclaimer for this one: the opinions and rights of the poet of the poems that we read tonight are not necessarily the opinions of the producers and writers of this show. Did I leave anything out?
Well, before we get started and let our callers in, I just want to give a shout out because we're going into our third month of doing what we have decided to do, and with that, we've been growing in small leaps and bounds. And I just want to give a special shout out that we picked up our 17th country that has been listening in just the other day. And that would be the Netherlands. So I just want to give a shout out to all of our listeners who are overseas, and for our listeners here in the U.S., and for all of our listeners in general. It's nice to see all the hard work constantly paying off with the growth that has been happening, every step of the way. So thank you to everybody, because it wouldn't be possible without all of you.
Yes, and Wayne tried to scare me.
What do you do?
He yelled boo.
Then I'll just have to say boo back to you, Wayne.
Oh, you scared me. Oh, no. You scared me. How y'all doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Fine. I just ran up my neighbor and said, "You got to go. I got 5 minutes to be in the air." And walked them out the door, so they had like that. Anyway, I'm a good night.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
They don't read no poetry.
Yeah.
And there's Raz, too. How you doing, Raz?
All right.
Good to see you again, Steve, here in the mortuary. I guess the shadows haven't really consumed you in over a month, so you're doing good, right?
You can't see me.
Yeah.
And Wayne, if you want to scare someone saying boo, first off, you have to be invisible. You have to keep them completely off guard and just not there when you finally scream boo at them.
Yeah, it's hard to scare somebody.
Especially in a chat room.
Yeah.
I'm invisible. I am pretty invisible.
Of course, I only learned that from childhood, and it was a very traumatic time.
Oh, tell me that.
I wasn't the one who would say boo.
Oh, don't do that.
All right, honey, where'd you want to go?
Okay. Well, first off, ask Wayne if he's pressed for time or if he can hang out while we read one poem before him.
Is that all right, Wayne?
Oh, yeah, it's fine with me. I'm hanging. Do what you want to do.
All right.
Okay. But before I have you read this, I want to express that I felt this right, that I am going to drop down. It fits perfectly to the show itself as to what was in the show. Because in American Horror Story Season 2, there was aspects of pregnancy and loss in the show.
That's what I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
That the show was about American Horror Story Season 2.
Yeah.
But you just said it.
And Chris Nasu
The
linked
asylum.
me. Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Nasu linked me this right that I feel fits to the topic for tonight, but I also ask that the comments that we get, please be respectful as well. All right. Read it, sir.
All right. It's called Lost in Pleasure by C. Nastu. Lost treasures of stolen life, hearts and lungs rejected, mothers none, abandoned rooms, future life neglected, water broken to unknown skies, flushed with live secretion, boyfriends lie with broken promise, one heed life's deletion, eyes closed tight in pastures lay, clothes stripped off in heat of night, thrusts of passion sounds off loud, stay from darkness till daylight. Pressures build but no one cares, ecstasy a notion. Bodies close from heated moments, KY just a lotion. Future years no children bear, taken from lives of known. Past intimacy, life today, death with no passion shown. End poem.
Okay, you start up the comment.
Well, I thought, this is a powerful statement. Everybody has their views, and definitely this is just his imagery and the message that comes across in here. It's definitely very powerful and important. And that's really all I can say about that is that he wrote it well, and of course, going to the mechanics of the poem, the rhyme and the flow was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's very well done. Raz, what did you think?
That the message here is really politically relevant, but we never have time to discuss the matter. And I can only hope medical science improves than childbirths, in which the infant suffers from radiation or some other disease before they're given the opportunity to live out this great life. That's very tragic, but what we could hope for is advances in medical science that prevent such atrocities, that infants have to go through brain death or other forms of diseases prior to ever knowing this world. And the poet spoke the message in a vague way, but if you don't see the caption of the photo, then you wouldn't connect that it's still extremely relevant, that the future years of the child not born are taken away for reasons not known. And death sometimes is cruel when it comes to those who never get to learn at least a single year or more of actual life. And in that regard, death can be just stone cold-blooded. But hopefully one day we'll be able to prevent these kinds of infant deaths from occurring because of our advancements in science. Good read.
Excellent comment. What did you think, Wayne?
It was a good comment there. I like it. I think it caught me off guard when he started reading it. It went right from, I thought we had one kind of poem was the other. It was real deep, real sad, kind of horrible. And it's something I didn't want to hear, but I probably needed to hear it. And the act of conception was pretty at an extreme level, up in the field there and doing all the. It's a deep poem, and he did a good job with it.
Excellent comment. All right. Well, the quotes that we found, Kay and I last week, we sat and stayed up the whole night and binge watched the entire season 2 of American Horror Story, and we were pausing every now and then and writing the quotes down as they came. If we heard something that sounded really cool or really powerful, we'd pause it, write it down, and then continue with the show. And we came up with 26 quotes. So it's up to the poet, which direction they take it. If they take it in a dark way or a fun way, or some even went with love poems. So it's open to whatever interpretation you want to give.
Yeah, I forgot we were talking
great
about.
job.
Yeah, I didn't know. I forgot we were talking about a scary movie. Kind of caught me off guard. Yeah, he did a great job in that aspect. Great job.
He did.
Shall we drop?
Sarah Paulson is to play the person who was left in the asylum. She appears again in the movie Glass as the doctor of David Dunn.
Huh? Yeah, well, she was actually in quite a few of the seasons.
Sarah Paulson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was in like 4 or 5 of them, I think. More than?
Yeah. She was not in the last one,
Yeah,
1984.
she didn't want to do it anymore, I thought she said.
But she would have been the first 8 seasons, I believe.
Okay. Wayne, we're dropping your poem in the room.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. I want to say hi to Joseph out there in the crowd. He's out there in the room. And when I took the quote, I didn't know anything about these horror movies. I never watched one of them. So when I looked at the quote, I took it as just an off the wall quote, and here's what I wrote about it in this one. It's called the quote I got is "Your story is who you are," and here's my poem called "My Life, My Story," Volume 3. It goes something like this: Your story is who you are. If you live your life, you'll be a star. With a good life, you can be the bestseller. Or maybe this is my life storyteller. Try to get published on the phone, looking at crap, and you become unknown. Take a discovered line in a recliner, turn off the TV, take a stroll to the diner. You want to have a good story, act like a star. Go rescue someone, then stop by the bar. You have to dress to depart, maybe a diamond ring. Then everyone know you're around, sing. Work on the storyline, write a script. Save up, take an adventurous trip. Decide if you want to be a hero or a villain. Not suggesting you take up stealing. Millions waiting with a ticket in hand, wanting to hear a story, don't have a plan. You can buy a ticket or you can write your story. You can be forgotten or you can live your life in glory. Be remembered in glory. Ian?
Great motivation.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly what I was saying, though. You take the quote and you run with it whatever direction you want. It doesn't really,
Right.
It's up to you. And you did a great job with this quote, Wayne. I like the direction you took, because like I mentioned, I read this earlier and I commented that we truly are the authors of our own stories, and there are many times where it's up to us which direction our story goes, and it is up to us whether or not we want to be a hero or a villain. This is just really well done, and as usual, perfect rhyme too. Excellent, right, Wayne? Really like this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
What do you think, Raz?
Yeah, after this pep talk, I want to be the best possible there is out there, Coach. Meaning Wayne. I
You already
see
did.
this. If someone leads you in the right direction, of course you want to be your best. You don't want to just hog around inside of the muddy
Watch TV.
field all day and just lay down your side. You just got to get up, do the best you can, make every day like it's the last. That's exactly what to do with your life. Good positive message out of what otherwise, where the quote originated, was only horror. You turned that into a positive value, and that's a notable note.
Yeah, I didn't know what the original was.
No, that's fine. That's good. It's good stuff. What'd you think?
Well, I was a little, forgive my little joke there. I said, there you go, preaching again, but I love it. I do love your rhymes, Wayne, because we always carry such wisdom to it, because it does speak to you. We are the ones who do create the pages of the books that we live. It's up to us to decide who we want to be. If we want to be the bad guy, well, then so be it. But if we want to be the good guy, well, that's also up to us to decide. But I also love the humor that you injected as well.
Yeah, I could definitely go for rescuing somebody and then heading to the bar.
You got to tell the story.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up like Antonio Brown. You're the hero for the day on the NFL field, and the next you're caught for burglary and robbery.
Oh, Sky just walked in. Hello, Sky.
Yeah.
How you doing, Sky, Mrs. Holmes?
It's more like a slow crawl.
Uh-oh.
You're not feeling well?
No, I'm feeling great. I'm just tired. So this is late, guys. I don't know what we're doing.
This is
Me
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm awesome.
How are you guys?
Oh, okay.
Over here
I'm
at the
tired too.
mortuary, staying off the
I was
shadows.
waiting for you, and then I got caught up in watching this discussion about Louisa May Alcott and the new Little Woman, and so now I'm late. But I'm here.
You're here?
You're still on
Here.
time. You ain't late.
No, you're only late if you try to call 2 minutes after the show ends. Then you're late.
Yeah.
Late, yeah. Excuse me. I don't even you.
That's all right. I'm on this medication for this sinus thing, and it makes me really tired. So you might hear me yawn a few times. I'm going to try not to, but you might hear it.
I feel like Steve and I are always yawning, and then I say something. He thinks I'm talking about him, but I'm talking about me.
We just have to hope the allergic medication doesn't make him nod off on the boob.
No.
No, yeah. You'll know. I think I snore.
I wouldn't let you get that far.
We're going to drop Rez's poem down. You ready to read, Rez?
Oh, we got this. Oh, no.
Yeah, I can read my poem. It's titled Eve Reawaken. Eve reawaken. Eve, naked and bare. Molly volcanoes may have heard the rumbling and erupted rioters seismic. Magnetic sliding in the fault line underneath the thousands of leagues ocean bottomless. Would never again exist in the mythical garden. Australia's massive fires burying the stacking high remnants of rare animal corpses in the billion. Through black tar pits of halo smoke bolster. A ruined tramping reign for the wilderness domain, handed on to preserve by the grandchildren, who thought little no more of the millions of years it had taken for life's sacred and evolved points of development harrowing, the keepsake furrows. The king of Albion watched the dense reed work, protecting the rights of the separate million which went on to the extinction list because of their prized knowledge for power and light hydraulic harnessing, which served anti-creation and through pride, righteous, indignant pretense. Coming to existence from variables only permitted to the unimaginable self-caused life phenomenon, and having no original response to damnation he brought upon them, losing all universal reality through industrial machination. The political parties who would never be held responsible any more than the globalist population. Grunted disappointment on any other caretaker would be used to excuse the natural devastation, and realize a young ecologist like Greta Thunberg should admire thermonuclear dynamics more than protest on their obvious mishandling of the planet. After all, who else provided recreation in the increasing global warmth that state-sponsored media to watch the news? There was none to be blameworthy other than laser-guided systems because of implied Hollywood magic. Eve smiled, remembering Adam's violent and insufferable divorce and lust for the fruit, even undergoing 70 afflictions of God for his punishment unto his death, and saw the serpent had spoken prophecy that they would always take everything for granted. Prompt 12. You two are drawn together like the serpent and the apple. On behalf of the unspeakable atrocities we have committed upon nature, our Earth Mother. And poem.
Very, very powerful right here, Rez. And yeah, I think your message is important. You bring so much of what's going on in the world today in with this quote. And yeah, of course, who's not going to think of Adam and Eve with the serpent and the apple? But what really hit me, really hit me hard is those last few lines. Saw that the serpent had spoken prophecy that they would always take everything for granted. And I think that so many people take things in life for granted, right up until they're near the end. And when they realize they're near the end, all of a sudden they realize they have so much unfinished business and so much, things to make up for things, wrongs that they did and all that. And all of a sudden they're trying to rush and cram everything into the last 6 months. But yeah, this is very powerful. Excellent job.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let's see.
My
Wayne,
point
what did you
is
think?
to amuse those who would care to think. I think I did that with Steve. Wayne?
It was a great. That's a great poem that you wrote. Great descriptions, and it's pretty accurate as far as when the place shifts and a big tsunami comes over, it wipes out everything on land. But also we got coming up here in the next 20 years. They say is the poles are going to flip. The North and South Pole is going to flip, and when that happens, there's a chance that we won't be no more civilization. So then it happened just like you wrote about it there. So it's a great poem. I like it, and I thought it was really good. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. And Sky, what did you think?
I thought again, once again, very weighty, right? I think I would consider myself pure fictional writer, perhaps maybe, not non-fictional when it comes to putting myself into it. So Raz's writes are always are interesting to me because I think he touches on subjects and matters that are society based, and he always brings the world into every one that I've read so far. He's brought in history and society as a whole, and things that are going on in the world, and I think it's a wonderful way to write. Sometimes I find I have to okay, what's that, and I have to go and figure it out, which is always good because who doesn't love the mind getting put to work? So really well done, Raz.
I am very much flattered by all this attention, but I mean, I only wrote the poem hoping someone would listen, and that much was accomplished. So I am very honored by the fact that you would listen to my verses. Well, the message really is about Eve, knowing in advance that we would actually misuse knowledge. But that's just a little too religious in this fantasy, not to see that global warming might somehow only be man-made in place of our houses of worship. So I kind of list that whole theme mostly political and metaphorical, but not necessarily religious, the thought of Eve reawakening.
Very cool. Well, you're not done being flattered yet, because Kay still has to comment. What do you think, hon?
Yeah. You definitely have your platform for people to hear your message here, because it does speak, as you said, it has its metaphors, yes. And it is metaphors that speak of what happens when power can cause devastation. And yeah, this is something you and I talk about a lot, about how a lot of things, they are man-made, but they are also acts of God as well. Mm. And when they happen, they can be devastating with what they bring. And sometimes with what it brings as well, it destroys where it's hard to come back to where things were from the beginning, or it takes a long time to bring things back to life again. I feel about life.
According to the insurer, all acts of natural disaster really are acts of God. So Kay's right in that sense, yeah.
All right.
But does Sky want to read hers next since she's here and tired?
Yeah, Sky, would you like to read yours next, just in case you decide to doze off?
Sorry, I was doing something. Yeah, I can read.
Honor us with your genius, Sky.
I was taking Kay a picture of my 1963 illustrated edition of Little Women, but nothing. Never. Totally off topic. Don't even worry about it. I was taking Kay pictures, so I was off. All right. Gonna get in my serial killer mode. All right. I didn't practice this today, so terrible. Sorry. AHS, diagnosis, acute clinical insanity. Dr. Oliver Thredson, by Sky Darkholme. Mouth wired shut, she wouldn't stop talking, that dirty little slut. Black eyes, she had no soul. Body left in a tub of ice, let the numbing unfold. I had to do it. You couldn't hear her screaming, at least, when I carved her into a masterpiece. Yes, I feel normal inside, tearing through everything. Sit back, watching her die, listening to voices screaming all sorts of lies, bleeding confusion. Yes, I feel normal inside. I've always been afflicted but self-aware. And with the help of a leather crop, I learned the difference of wrong and right, the sounds of low gurgling blood as they cage the animals at night. For surely a gentle touch would rot the child, like fruit left on sills, in the hands of summer that he could kill. So in a dark, dark room I was left to skin shadows, to embrace the thorn and peel petals off the rose. And yes, I do feel normal inside, but there are so many things in which I can behind which I can hide. I can escape the chaos, the crippling of mind, like a sedative darkness whispered in chambers, in solitary places blinking, broken bulbs, electric traces, laugh through teeth white, humming low, the tragedy, the cosmic joke that was my life, pushed downward in the blackest moments of me, while I shade the soul in thick mud against its core, till I am no longer helpless, crying cold against the floor, till I become normal inside, praying on lines that sing to me to sleep, scream so loud a promise to keep. And as my sin stain quivering hands, with a kind of truth you can't wash out, the need to cut flesh from bone in the name of art. No, I am not a painter or sculptor or poet, but with her beautiful peach fuzz skin, I'll craft the shade of a lamplight. Let the normal in. So, darling, don't disappoint me. Cover me, fold me within your embrace, tuck me under a blanket of sanity, cradle me protected, warm against your seams, neath shaded clefts and borrowed dreams. Wrap me, coiled calm in collective quarters, till turn down the sting and burnt sigh of nimble fires, breathe me in to the twilight. In the brief moments I untie your wrist, bound in chains kiss, I beg you, do not disappoint, for you'll end up like that dirty little slut, teeth sewn to mask a face I wear to remind me of that sweet, sweet thing. You always told me you wanted to see a killer's mind, and now you know how normal I am inside. Shh, don't cry. And Paul.
Wow.
That's a
I
good
got a little
reaction.
crazy on that one. Really, I like serial killer. Right? I go from little woman to serial killer. Sorry.
I think you definitely took us inside the mind of Bloody Face.
Yeah.
While I was reading this, I pictured the scene in my head when he was explaining to Lana what had happened to her lover, and the odd and I don't know intimate moments that they shared during that whole ordeal when she was down in the basement. And I also like that you kind of threw a little backstory in there too, and this little piece of, as you like to call, fan fiction. Very, very cool, Sky. I like this a lot.
Thank you.
Raz, what do you think?
If this is about the killer psychiatrist and how he finally opens up to the patient that he was responsible for many deaths, what you consider fan fiction, that much is there. But what also stands out are the emotions, whether or not this is coming from the same man, Bloody Face, or someone else who's done things wrong, how he opens up to who he's speaking to, and in a very kind of gentle and yet non-harmful way tries to atone for those sins in face of the person that he would rather pacify than actually do any wrong to. Just kind of lay on their lap and say, "Mommy, I'm sorry," and "Mommy, will you forgive me?" So that he has remorse is not really something that has to be necessarily interpreted to American Horror Story, but a man who really wants nothing more but forgiveness. That's also what I read in this poem. Good right, Sky.
Thank you.
All right, and Wayne, what do you think? You had a pretty good reaction to that.
I thought that was you did a great job on that, Sky, and the way you read it was perfect. I was crying. You're pretty scary on that one. I don't think I'll be spending time at your house anytime soon either. I kept looking behind me, thinking somebody's behind me. It's a good poem. I'm being tortured for 5 minutes. So great poem.
Thank you.
It's wonderfully insane.
What'd you think, hon?
Okay, here I go. I've seen this series a few different times. I love how you brought Bloody Face, but also brought his son to play as well. Because Bloody Face, he had mommy issues, and then his son had mommy issues as well. And they both inflicted their pain upon women because they never could get over the fact that they both were not raised by their mother. They both were part of the system. They both were placed for adoption. They were orphans. So hence their mommy issues turned into becoming Bloody Face. And then the son, he took over in Daddy's footsteps of becoming Bloody Face and skinning women and becoming his own version of Ed Gein. Because with Oliver Threadson, in the series they showed like his lamps. They were made of flesh. And you could see like the outline
of the nipples.
Yeah.
Eddie Gein did that.
And he had like an ashtray and candy bowl made out of a skull.
Yep.
They brought aspects of Ed Gein to his character, and then with other aspects of his character too, of trying to form some kind of connection with these women that he felt would make him feel complete, make him feel the love that he never was given. And then the funny thing is, Lana, as he said, you were the one, I knew it, the one who made him feel complete, gave him that connection of closeness, that feeling of being home, of having a mother. I love what you brought with the right, because you brought, Oliver, but also his son, and how the aspects of like father, like son, and how much they ended up becoming a lot alike. And when I say that in the fact that they both had same characteristics that were not good. They were all bad with what they brought. So I thought this was a pretty cool write, because you definitely brought the characters to light very awesome in a very dark way.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing, too, with you're right. It reminds me of something that Oliver said when the police were about to arrest him, but he ended up taking his life instead, that he felt relieved when this was finally all over, and he thought that he would feel something else. But this huge weight was taken off of him because he's no longer carrying this secret. So I thought this was an epic write. I really did.
There was one thing that they did get wrong, though, with the similarities to Ed Gein and Bloody Face.
Yeah.
There was a scene where he was practicing how to make love on Lana's dead lover.
Yeah, necrophilia.
Yeah. Well, when Ed Gein was asked if he had sex with the dead bodies he dug up, he said, "No, they stunk too bad."
Yeah. Yes. Keep in mind, Oliver Threadson, he froze that body
True.
so it would stay intact. Because Lana was special. She was the one.
Yeah.
And she was chosen for special reasons. Okay, we should shut up.
All right.
Thank you, guys. So I really, if I may, I really like how they put his backstory into the about that child, that bit of child neglect and abuse into his character, because I think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of connections that have to happen, whether is a monster made or created, is a monster born or created, and perhaps it's a little bit of both, nature over nurture. But I really liked his backstory, and so I really wanted to bring it in. And if you have ever read David Pezler, They Cage the Animals at Night. Oh no, that's not David Pezler. That's somebody else. I forget who it is now. But I read this book, They Cage the Animals at Night, and it's about a boy who was abused and was in orphanages, and one of the title of the book, and one of the lines in the book that always stuck with me was in the orphanages they would hand out stuffed animals, and then at night they would collect them while they were sleeping, and they would put them in a cage essentially, but it's just where they stored them, but it was a cage. And it was a metaphor of the book, They Caged the Animals at Night. So I did take that line from that. It was a really wonderful book. I can't think of the author now, but I will in a moment. But anyway, and so I kind of connected those two backgrounds of abuse and to that. So thank you.
Very cool.
And you too. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Jaskaran is out on the board, and he has to go somewhere soon, so we want to read his poem for him before he has to turn us off. Don't touch that dial, Jask.
Yeah. Okay. I will read for Jaskaran the quote he wrote you. I am fixated. I am stuck on that cold bitch, and she's the one. The only one who can make me feel this way. Every time I think about her, it makes me want to do bad things. And this is by Jaskaran. Yeah. This is called You Are Mine and Only Mine. Once there was a girl with drop dead, gorgeous looks. Was a signature of all eyes. On her face had a shining gleam. A man fell in love with her. He thought he would heal her of his illness, fill her gloomy world with happiness of rays, coming, aspiring directly from sunbeams, arising directly from sunbeams. The life is a bitch. Love always doesn't begin and end the way it seems. He mustered the courage, grabbed a bouquet of flowers to her house, only to be insulted. His self-respect ravished into pieces by her mother, and his face resembled a pug. She said, "How dare you? I know you have been to an asylum, you psychopath. Hooked to drugs, your family stays in a pool of mud like a decaying bug." He drank the insult and was boiling with anger. One day you'll have to pay a heavy price. And married another ugly, shabbily-looking girl with a shrug. He was back to his wicked ways, used to chain her, punch her at every word she uttered, and would sleep with her only to satisfy his lust. He hatched out a plan, kidnapped her mother and tied to a chain rod, tore apart her body with a knife. With she screaming for help in steel mills, his wife, but escaped from his clutches after knowing about his deadly plan, was known as if a snake had bitten her and gasping for breath after witnessing the chills. He saw her and had blood on his hands, took her to the top floor of building with her tongue, held her by her legs, and hung her from the wall. I am fixated. I am stuck on that cold bitch. Now it's your turn. End poem.
Yes, very cool. I keep telling Kay that I think we're a bad influence on Jaskaran. So all of a sudden he's writing dark poems when he didn't used to. At least if he did, I never read them. But I thought this was very dark, actually. The very dark imagery, very, very much a horror poem. There was one line that I really liked. I'm trying to think where it was. Oh, shoot. I hate when that happens. But there was a bit of imagery in there that really stuck out to me, and I can't figure out which one it was. I'll figure it out, though.
You'll get it.
Yeah, I will. But this is an excellent write, Jessica. Getting into the dark stuff. Very cool. What did you think, Raz?
Yeah, well, what you have here is a cold-blooded psychopathic killer. I mean, the descriptions is the kind of person who took it out on this woman only because he had those psychological issues. And what goes on in the mind of a real killer is that you don't confront them on the past, because look what happens. Your relationship, it turns over. All of a sudden, your mother's kidnapped, and then you're like next on the list to die. So overall, Jaskaran's poem does go on sometimes. It rarely occurs, but killers, they don't like anyone confronting them that you might actually know. You see, the right move here for the woman who was in the relationship is to find a way of informing the police on her suspicions and not even letting on to them. But overall, a great horror write.
Awesome comment. What did you think, Wayne?
Oh man, I feel like I moved into a dungeon. These poems tonight are great. I'm stuck on that cold bitch too. And this one is real good. It's real gutsy. This is a gutsy poem.
Yeah.
I had to kidnap the mother. They kidnapped the mother and put her to a pole. And oh man, I ain't going back there. Yeah, that was a great poem. Dark. It's a good one.
Awesome comment. What do you think, Sky?
Yeah, I don't feel so bad now for going so crazy and so dark with
Oh,
my
sure.
feet. I don't feel so alone. This is great, you know. I thought it had underlining morals in a fable-like story, and I know that sounds weird to come out of my mouth, but you know, when that sense of I'm going to change my ways, but how quickly rejection can kind of knock that wind right out of us and bring us back to the very darkest parts of us, and that's what I kind of see in here. It's a great story, it's a great story as is, but I also see those messages of rejection and what that can do to a person's spirit and soul, and kind of bring out the worst in people. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but I'm like really stuffy here, so I apologize. But I thought it was great, and I really liked how he kind of interwove the beginning with the end. With the, you know, I'm fixated, I'm stuck on you. He kind of brought in that language back in the beginning and the end. And I like the details about the chaining up the mother. And, I mean, this is creepy. This was like a little flash story all in itself about a serial killer. This is why when there's hitchhikers, I just keep driving, you know? It's scary, scary world.
Yeah, indeed.
You can't even be a UFC fighter and then have your whole entire face completely destroyed in the process of boxing, the kind of world we live in, but that's legal according to the sports rules.
Yeah. What do you think, hon?
Well, I think this was a cool write. I like the quotes used because the quotes that he chose were also the quotes that Bloody Space's son used when he was talking about his mother, talking about how fixated he was on that cold bitch and how every time he thought about her, it made him want to do that, which he always inflicted on women.
Yep.
So I thought this write was pretty cool with what he brought because it definitely had a murderous dark rage to the word. Yeah, a lot of vivid images to think on. Some of them definitely watch what you say type of thing to a certain person because you never know what you might unleash. Because, yeah, the murderous rage was definitely brought very well to the word.
Other than the prompt, a separate work of horror fiction incorporated to the storyline.
You know,
Yeah.
here's something interesting, you know, to think about is that if the son was kept by the mother, was loved despite and not treated coldly or ill, would that, you know, that underlying genetical traits of insanity, you know, be prevalent, or would it be overpowered by nurture? You know, that's
a good question.
Quite interesting when you think about it. Yeah.
Well, see, that's an interesting question, but it also is a heated one, too, because Lana, she got pregnant from a cause of rape. And I've known women who got pregnant from rape who either terminated or placed because the act itself was violent and they couldn't get past it. So that definitely is a very heated subject because sometimes it's not that easy to raise a child when it was formed out of violence and hatred, when it affected how
I
you
wasn't
well.
putting blame. I totally get that. Yeah, I wasn't putting blame. I just mean like it's interesting to think about the aspects of a serial killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be very, very difficult. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Who you want to read this one? Do you want to give that to Raz? Because you read.
Yeah,
I can read one on the board.
Yeah, go for it. Read for Slowly Drowning.
For Slowly Drowning? That's the next one on the list. I hope slowly drowning from his own soul instead of the seas or liquor. All right, keep me sane. Keep me sane. Pull me under and hold me down. The more I choke, the faster I drown. Take my horror and wield the knife. You cut down deep. Will you take my life? Though I grit my teeth when the blade sinks in, I moan in pleasure with this painful sin. I crave my torture to keep me sane, begging you to do it over and over again. The cutting, the pain. I feel so alive. This nightmare is where I thrive. My nerves on fire as blood fills my mouth. I gleefully cackle as you slide the blade out. I suppose you know my secret, but one day, in the middle of the night, my two dead boys shall get up to fight. Back to back they shall face each other and draw their swords and face the other. A deaf policeman heard the noise. He ran to save my two dead boys. I hear his footsteps. I thought he was dead as well, but no, he is also coming for me. The moon was behind me as I walked a misty path. My blood running cold as a voice called out from my back. There was no shadow that I could see, but I wanted to flee. My legs shivered in dread. I closed my eyes to pray, but I felt myself sway. Keep me sane, stray away, far away from the yellowing lane. Take my knife and stab it deep. Soon my sorrows thy soul shall keep. Be embraced in the arms of the devil himself, and come unto me. Take your punishment and bow at the knee. Not a tear shall fall, for no one shall hear your call. My limbs are bound, my body alive. Come near unto me, for I must feed. Let blood pool upon the floor, and lock the door.
What'd you think of it, Raz?
Yeah, this is really intense on everything that could occur to someone in their mind who has either suffered the loss of those closest dying, and now what's left is a state of delirium, not knowing what's safe, nor if they themselves are any longer safe. And when you're mixing elements like that, you have the truth of what it means to be casted out of your usual social realm of laws into the very unknown where anything could possibly finally happen.
Yes, indeed. I agree with you there. This is a powerhouse poem, and it's filled with some very dark imagery. When you first started reading it and I was listening, it sounds like somebody that maybe enjoys an abusive relationship.
I don't think they're kidding about their kids dying nor the cop. So what's going on is they don't want to be driven to the point that maybe they can't control themselves anymore from the very haunting memories of those very deaths, if taken in a literal fashion, that what they're begging from the other person is that they need help, or they're just going to possibly lose their mind and commit the very murder, but they haven't reached that point, taking it to a whole complete point of narrative. So the writer here catches upon a very intense moment.
Yes, indeed.
Within the chaos of this narrative speculation's mind.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree with that. What did you think, Wayne?
Wayne's on mute. Wayne left for the night.
No, he's still in the studio, but he might have to step away. What did you think, Sky?
You guys got some really, really great rights. I'm like sitting here eating these milk duds, like listening to these stories. These were really, really good dark stories. Oh my goodness! I don't know if I want to read these right before bed, but brilliant. I like the details. I'm kind of curious as how the deaf policeman heard the noise. I think there might be a deeper meaning behind that, and I think I'm going to have to go back and read it a little more carefully to understand maybe that saying. I love that about it. I love when pieces have layers and you can peel them back and find something new each time. But I also really liked the moon was behind me as I walked to the misty path, my blood running cold as a voice called out from my back. There was a little bit of this offbeat rhyme that fit really, really well. And what I mean by offbeat, I mean there was no clear formatting like A, B, A. Like it was kind of just the lines had different lengths, but it always caught you. The rhyme always caught. And by doing that, I thought it created a daunting kind of feeling, like you knew it was coming, but you didn't quite know when to expect it. And I really liked that about the writing, because I felt it gave a voice to the words as well. Really well done.
Yes, indeed. Excellent comment. I would like some milk duds. Do you know what? While you were talking about that, it made me think. I can remember years ago when we had a little situation here, not long after we moved into the place we're currently living, and the police ended up having to come. And I remember the police officer only seemed to hear what he wanted to hear.
Let's just put it mildly. He was an asshole.
There you go. Maybe that's what she meant.
Okay. I still have to comment.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Please do.
Please do, yeah.
You scared Wayne's cat away from his Rhode Island home. This show is really getting out there with the shadows. I see why you call it Mortuary.
There's Wayne.
Yeah, there's
Wayne. Yeah, Mark. I let my cat out.
Oh, okay. Did you hear the poem "Keep Me Sane"?
No, I didn't.
That's all right. Well, we'll have Kay comment on it, and we'll move along.
Okay. I have to agree with what everybody is saying. The title itself, it's almost, it goes along with what Raz is saying.
A desperate cry for help.
Yeah. Sometimes, the funny thing is, though, when you're asking for help, it's funny how it gets ignored. People just are not hearing it. They're not seeing it. Even if you are doing it subtle or just trying to say it in ways that are implying that you're not doing okay, it's not heard. And that's always a sad thing, because if somebody would listen, they may prevent something serious from happening. But sometimes people just don't get listened to, and then the worst case happens. This definitely is a right of asking for help. I see it. I have to agree with Raz right there on that one.
There you go. Excellent.
Okay. And I will read Sandy's. And
right.
Joseph is going to call in a bit, so I'm going to put his off to the side.
Cool.
Yeah, I just did that a few moments ago. And Heavenly Angel, she brought the mush mush. That's what we say. But she used the quote, "What you put out in the world comes back to you. Anything I do in life, I know I can do it because of your love. And I knew you were there. I am the one." And this is by Heavenly Angel, and it is called All for You. I've always heard what you put out in the world comes back to you. I hope I've shared something meaningful, something to brighten your day. I would give it all. I would sacrifice. Anything I do in life, I know I can do it because of your love. You know what's true? Everything I do it for you. Look into my eyes. You will see what you mean to me. I knew you were there. I am the one who loves you, truly, madly, deeply. I'll be your dream. I'll be your wish. I'll be your fantasy. I'll be your hope. I'll be your love. Be everything that you need. There's no love like your love, and no other could give more love. There's nowhere unless you're there. All that you need will surely come. Because everything I do it for you. And poem.
Everything I do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I do it for you.
She said her and that she used that song from Brian Adams, as well as Truly, Madly, Deeply by Savage Garden.
Look
Yeah,
into
this was pretty cool.
eyes, you will see what you mean to me.
Yeah, I thought this was great. As always, Angel, her rights of love are just so impressive to me, and this one's no exception. I told her that I'm probably starting to sound like a broken record, but I'm not sure what else I can say. But it's always nice when we have such a dark show, and then somebody takes the quote. Not saying anything against you, Sky, or Jaskaran, because this is the Mortuary of Shadows, so you need dark rights. But it is nice when somebody brings in something light and lovely like this. It's my opinion. That way it kind of mixes things up, You know what I mean?
Like Wayne's My Life, My Story. Positive
Right,
message.
exactly right. And maybe it doesn't get so monotonous as oh, here we go, more blood and gore. This is just beautiful. This is a beautiful right. What did you think, Raz?
There's no love like your love. Yeah, I mean, I really love that song, Brian Adams, when I was a kid. Everything I do it for you. I would just live by those words, but have no one at the time to attach the feelings. Otherwise, very romantic with all the quotes mixed in like this. That's the general message, love, and how it's all for you. So she did right by reminding whoever wants to listen of what we could achieve have we been less selfish human beings. A state of love in which that in itself could raise society to try to solve the more deeper problems with the universe.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Yeah. What did you think, Wayne?
I thought it was great. I was ready for a little love. It was a nice love poem with great songs put it was great. Great wording. I think I liked it. I'm ready for another one.
A little more light. Add a little more light. Yeah. What did you think, Sky?
Oh well, like Raz, I'm a big fan of that song. I'm not going to sing to you, Raz. You've got a nerve singing on you, belting out. Nerve wasn't the word I wanted to use, but I didn't want to say the word I wanted to use. I thought, I also really I love Truly Madly Deep. I love Savage Garden. I used to have their CD. I really enjoy them. Some of their earlier CDs though. That when that song came out. Anyway, it was really. I liked how you intertwined those two songs and how you put them in the right. I thought it was wonderfully romantic, and I think it's true. I think I like diversity, so I'm glad it's not all blood and gore, and we can get a little bit of romantic in, and we can laugh a little bit about something funny, and we can get a little bit dark. So I think that's important, and why we have so many minds. So when we put them all together, kind of like a big pot of, you never know what you're going to get. So box of chocolate. Very well done.
Awesome.
Well, that's heaven. What other message do you expect but love? The writer.
Yeah. Well, let's welcome Deb into the room.
Yeah.
Hello, Deb.
How you doing, Deborah?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Did you hear the poem from Heaven the Angel?
I didn't. I just dialed in.
That's all right.
Sorry.
We get that's all right. We get one more comment from Kay.
Yeah. Wow. Sandy on the board said one day she's going to surprise us all in Right Dark. I told her I look forward to it. But until then, I will enjoy the mushy mush that she brings because it's very beautiful. When reading it, I could definitely hear Brian Adams singing in my mind. But the right itself, it definitely as all of her rites speak of love and devotion and being there and just speaking from the heart in a very beautiful way.
Yes, indeed. But I swear I've read some dark stuff from her before. I remember some vampire poems, I think, before that were kind of dark. Maybe romantic dark.
Yeah. Okay, let me drop.
Yeah, Deb, you have to read and run?
Yes, please.
All right, we're putting you in the room right now.
Okay. Come on.
Appreciate
I'm sure she said, Kay's doing all the work. I'm just sitting here looking pretty.
Yeah, yes, you are.
There you go.
Set out all the sound.
That's what we do. We sit in the background so you guys can look pretty. Right, Kay?
That's right.
Exactly.
Okay, I wrote to lies are like scars on your soul. They destroy you. And here we go. As lips flap, the lies flow, carving ruination. Sugar-coated horse manure is still just crap, but you dish it like the Candyman. It crushes my smiles and shrouds the light inside my soul, cutting scars with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel edge. You slice deeper with every wag of the forked tongue that you whisper with. Hot yellow sunshine cannot hit the spot you can shove all the sweet confections that you spew. My rose-colored bifocals cracked into 9 million pieces of glass. And all this camouflage blocking out the pointed red horns you wear cannot hide them from me or mask all the shit you say. I see clear that you suck, so you can go burn in hell. The end.
Yeah.
Debbie feels about this all the time, so I don't know how I'm going to comment on hearing these very words. I doesn't remember telling me this in the past. I mean, what I meant by quantum contemplations and quantum complications, why I cough, that's all me about any of you remembering us meeting somewhere else.
All right.
Okay.
Deb, I like the way you started this one off. Sugar-coated horse manure is still just crap. That line just pulled me right in, and then I started smiling at the beginning of such a dark piece, because it's true, and it's unfortunate that so many of us know people like this too. So you wrote a very, very relatable poem from the quote that you used, and you wrote to it perfectly. This is just awesome.
Thank you.
Let's see, Wayne, what did you think?
I think I'd rather be cut up. How you doing, Deb? That's a good point. I'd rather be cut up in little pieces and have somebody comes in on me and talks like that to me. I said in the close, I said, "Here, you borrow my knife. You can just cut me up." So that's another. I mean, put the guy down bad.
Thank you, Wayne.
I see clearly that you suck. You can go burn in hell. Ah.
I like the way you just said that.
Yeah.
Great right, Deb.
Thank you.
Sky, what did you think?
Hi, Sky.
I'm gonna need to steal that picture. I can't even believe how you opened this right. Like what? It's kind of like right there, right away, like an ink. And Stephen and I tend to like the same lines pretty consecutively. It's kind of weird, but I do love those opening lines. I thought it just kind of throws it in your face. And Candyman is one of the creepiest things I've ever experienced in life. It really, I can't. It's too much. I can't. That's how scared I am of the movie.
Wow.
So I know this was more like a be truthful, but definitely brings Mortuary shadows to my mind. But I also like the wonderful shape and the aesthetics you brought to it, and the downshift of soul. And if you look through it, there's just so many, cutting scars with precision a surgeon's scalped at edge. Putting visuals into how liars can be very, very cunning and very specific, and it makes me think of doublespeak and politics and relationships, and when I say relationships, I mean any kind of relationship, not just a romantic one, but how people can use a bit of word, be a wordsmith, and perhaps lead people on in a way where they don't even know they're being lied to. But and like you said, dishing it out in like a Candyman, like it's sweet and savory, like it's the words they want to hear, but it's still a lie. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. So I thought this was a really great write. I'm sorry for all those like.
Thank you. Oh, that's right. Thank you. And yeah, the scarier ones are the ones that absolutely believe everything that they say and leave you questioning whether your gut tells you they're lying, but they seem so convincing, And I promise I won't say Candyman 3 times in a row.
Well, I have to turn the mirrors over. It's really bad. Like I really.
That only works in front of a mirror at the project somewhere.
Yeah, you do have a point there, Raz.
Well, I do remember one thing. From if we get the chance to meet you, Sky, I'll make sure that I bring my Candyman DVD.
Oh my God.
Poor Sky. You have to learn not to divulge. You have to learn not to divulge the secrets that they haunt you with.
Even as a teenager, I know I should learn better, don't I? I don't learn my own lessons, I don't learn from my mistakes of the past. The chevron duck. Now it's going to be the Candyman. But even as an adult in my 20s, which is probably the last time I watched that movie, I have to I just take down the mirrors, and it is one of the scariest movies for me. I don't know why. Maybe I watched it way too young and it scarred me for life. I have no idea, but it's scary.
For me, it's Jeepers Creepers. That guy's teeth. That freaks me out for weeks when I watch one of them.
I've never seen that.
Don't. If the Candyman scares you, stay away from Jeepers Creepers.
He doesn't get scared at any of that stuff. I mean, there's the news for him, but otherwise he's not hearing.
Yeah. I agree with what Deb said, because isn't that gaslighting? What Deb said, when they make you believe a certain thing, then you question yourself.
I think so, yeah.
I've had definitely family members do that, and it sucks when they do that, because then they make you question everything you say or do, and then I've had cases where they made me think I was the one who was insane, and everything that I tried to say, they tried to turn it around, like, here's all the reasons why it's your fault and you're wrong, and then projection. It's a vile word, because sometimes people project their own stuff onto you that they're guilty of. This right definitely speaks to me, because I've had to deal with a lot of this stuff in my life, and that's also why that's part of my past, and I'm a very cautious person anymore, because a lot of people and their actions, they definitely help to keep you on guard, keep you on your toes. You should be
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
I can comment to make Debbie feel a bit better that I don't mean anything mean about us having some kind of unknown connection in which you wish me health. Here, what you have might be the description of someone who you come close to and is privileged enough in their own regard to always lie to you. Or if you read the words literally, then how do I know by the descriptions of this person having red horns, for one thing, and then for another that they can shove it out of the ground whenever they want? And she might not be talking about a person who actually hallucinates the actual devil, and in that very state of psychosis, this is all they're listening to from the real thing. Nothing more but lies, in order to wish them nothing else but hell. And that would be
Damn,
my
that was deep.
viewpoint on the poem.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Very deep.
Dr.
Charming.
Dr. Raz.
Yeah.
I'm not doctorate.
He's razzle dazzle.
But neither was Clive Barker when he wrote Candyman, so.
Poor Scott.
Oh, we said it 3 times now.
Well, no, don't you have to say
My oldest godson likes to torture me with it. It really freaks me out. I don't even let him do it. I'm like, get out of my house. You don't do that. I probably shouldn't have told Steve. I feel like I'm going to regret telling Stephen that.
I'll be good.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
thinking
be
the
good.
same thing.
I'll be good.
Yeah.
Sure you will.
You don't have to. It's all right. My friends like to torture me too. That's how I know they love me. So it's all right. It's fine.
Awesome.
I know they love me. They tease me with my biggest fear.
Well, I didn't say tease. I said torture. I said torture.
There's a difference.
Woo, right?
Yeah. Was it? Woo.
Yeah, like the Geico commercials, the little piggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're going to put me in next, huh?
I put you in. So I'm saving mine when Joseph gets there.
Okay. All right. Anybody who was listening earlier to Crystal's, I kind of wrote this for both shows because I thought it fit both. And the quotes that I went to were, lies are like scars on your soul. They destroy you. And if you look in the face of evil, evil is going to look back at you. And I call this, there are those who think they are godly, but are actually much warmer. Who is like God? None of us. There are some who think they are, those who feel they have the right to judge, to cast the first stone. Some even feel they are able to take what they want, not caring if it may destroy another. People who tell themselves, I am perfect, I have done no wrong, my conscience is clear, I am better than all of you, all the while lying to themselves and believing it. Righteousness ensues, unknowingly scarring the soul, never understanding their deeds are born from evil, perceiving beauty in the reflection. It is these people who dwell with the one that God cast out and never realize. End poem.
Okay, I'll save my comment for last, but what I will do is ask Raz first what he thinks.
Yeah, I see here in the author's note that the translation of the Archangel Michael is the question, who is like God, which is the title of the poem, and that means that no one is like God. And so what this questions upon happens to be religious myths that somewhere in society, the real thing, actual evil, lives among certain individuals because they are closer attuned to damnation the way it's described in the Bible. And all I could pray for, if that much is the truth, but no one knows, is that one day they can at least have the mercy of heart from God to reach the light, because just simply that they're blind of living with evil among them, that does not mean that they are unsalvable souls. And that's my reaction, not what I think of this poem.
Okay, awesome.
Deb, what do you think?
Oh, I thought this was great, and we had a familiar thought where I just see that all the while lying to themselves and believing it. Righteousness ensues, unknowingly scarring the soul, never understanding their deeds are born from evil. I don't know, that one part there, I think they understand. I think they just get a sadistic kick out of it. And some just can't help themselves, but this is really awesome. And the last couplet, who dwell with the one that God cast out and never realize. I like that rather than calling him by name, you list him as the one that God cast out. This is really awesome, Stephen. And that picture, man, is that from the show? That's wicked.
Yeah, that is from the show, yeah.
Do you mind if I
Thanks,
steal
Deb.
that picture?
Go ahead, take it.
Yeah, it's also my right.
You'll see it on Kay's poem, too, if you're there.
Yeah.
Ah.
Uh,
Yeah,
guys, what do you think? Or did Sky fall asleep?
Oh, did you say me? I'm gonna. You dropped that, so I stayed for one more. I stayed for one more. I thought it was a great piece. One thing I like about Stephen's writing is it's so straightforward and to the point, and it tells you exactly what he thinks and exactly how it is really. And I think this speaks a lot about hypocritical people and judgments and sometimes the people who are highest on their pedestals have the furthest to fall and the heaviest slamming into the ground. So I think that this was a brilliant write, and it spoke volumes of I think people we all know, at least one of them. And it also makes us look at ourselves and say, how can I not be this person? How can I not be hypocritical? Are there things in my life that are so subtle that maybe I don't even know? And I think it's always good to look at yourself too. When upon looking at the traits you don't like in others, perhaps going through yourself with a fine comb and saying, okay, let's look at this, and am I living what I preach? So, really well done, Stephen.
Thank you, Sky.
You're welcome. And good night. I hope you guys have a wonderful show. I will fall asleep soon, so I'm leaving now.
Okay.
That's okay.
Good night,
Bye.
Sky.
Night, Sky.
Have a good night.
Deb, I highly suggest you look over some of those other poems if you want to get freaked out. I'll tell you what. All right.
Oh, yeah? Time to freak out.
Everybody wrote about serial killers. Yeah, nobody goes
boy,
dream about them.
Sweet dreams,
Good night.
Sky.
Okay. I will make my comment, and then I will pick up our caller. I just wanted to say that I thought your right was pretty cool because what Sky said is also very true as well. It could be a reflective right. And the thing is, you and I, we have many deep, expensive souls. And the thing is, people, they can easily affect how a person becomes. And if you experience a lot of hurt, then you tend to become a person who is very mindful in every sense of the word, and trust is a big factor. And I have come across people who did have a godlike complex to them. And, that's a crummy attitude to have because nobody is actually God. So to have that mentality. But as Guy said, too, about hypocriticalness of how the human condition can be, at times everybody touches on it. There's a lot of aspects in the human condition that a lot of people touch on. And sometimes it's very hard to understand that and see that when you look at others or try to interact with them and let go of certain aspects. So, yeah, this definitely was a powerful right in itself because it definitely speaks to a lot of what I say. Nobody's perfect, but sometimes people think they are.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that one out? I will welcome Joseph into the room.
Hello, Joseph.
Oh, good evening, Kay. Good evening,
How you doing,
Deborah
Mr.
and
Moon?
Sky. Stephen and Raz. Hello, Raz. Good evening, sir.
You compared me
Pleasure
to
to be here with
Voltaire. I mean, that kind of compliment I cannot take on to myself. But thank you for the kind words.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. You're right. Tonight was somewhat very thought provoking and invoked a lot of serious thought in terms of society and like I said, it has a little bit of a Voltaire feel to it, and we can even go a little farther back if you like to Socrates days. But either way, whenever I hear you read, it's very entertaining and enjoyable. But I also have to read your work a couple times just to try and understand your full meaning. I think one read is it's just not enough to really grasp where you're coming from. Your message there is very thought provoking, and it's a fine write.
Yeah, I looked at all these poems on the site more than one time. They're all great poems.
Yeah, I mean, I think some rights they just they invoke one or two thoughts in you, or especially I think rhyming type poems are pretty. They're not that they're easier to understand, but I think free verse or in case of yours the Proust type poems they need a little bit more. They need a little bit more extra read or two just to.
A classic like you, I knew you would understand the deeper meanings of Eve being here right now and wondering what happened to her generations to destroy the planet. So, someone like you would easily find more meaning to the poem, but others could just think it's another throwaway. Everything that was said was intended by Eve's reawaken, including the title.
Yes, I enjoyed hearing you read it, and like I said, it definitely needs an extra read or two, and then dissect it. If you have to dissect the lines as well. Some people just don't like to do the work because they're, everyone's life is, everyone's tied up in their own little thing. But anyway, it's great to be here with everyone. Great to hear everyone. There's some great poetry this evening.
Glad to have you, yes. Joseph. Always glad when you call in.
Yeah. Truly my pleasure.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Is Sky still on board, or did she have to take her little nap?
She had to go to bed.
Oh, I just.
If she's able
Mortuary can hold them on for too long.
Yeah, I just missed Sky. Okay. Well, we're a little quaint group right now, and it's great. Oh, you got me up already? Oh, God.
Yep.
Oh, God. You don't give a man a break, but I'm just teasing. Let me see if I can. Okay, so now, yeah, this is a little different for me in terms of rhyme scheme. I'm only doing in terms of this, I'm not doing a total end rhyme on every sentence. This is pretty much broken down into like 2 and 4, 2 and 4, 2 and 4. But it's a little different. And after hearing everyone's really dark reads tonight, which they were outstanding, this is what I guess you would call like, they were dark. This is purple dark. So it's like, but anyway, there's a little bit of some interesting meaning behind it, and I hope you folks enjoy this. I call it the faceless frame. A little thought-provoking indeed. And here it goes like this. The faces of dead loved ones, framed on a wall. I sit in the dim light. Silent teardrops fall. Talking, listening to them, doth not make me insane. I don't heal in drama, nor ice the pain. Faceless frame, waiting to hang, testing my sanity. I play finger Russian roulette to kill the mundanity. I drift into a deeper darkness, drenched in sweat, seeking the mystery. Wine liberates the loneliness. Wisdom is mine, and I have liberty. My soul departs into some isolation, solemn and sublime. For one moment of time, willing to risk my only salvation. My mind paints a portrait. I'm out of rhyme. Who will talk to me whilst I hang? End poem, folks.
Yes, and a very, very good poem. As you know, I read it earlier, and I left you a comment, and I am going to read what I wrote because I thought this was positively brilliant. Speaking to the pictures of loved ones, that I've passed on is something I think we all do. When you speak of that empty frame and while I hang, you're talking about, after we go, the empty frame that's reserved for our very own picture as we await death, so we can once again rejoin those that are hanging on the wall already. This is just awesome. And as I play finger Russian roulette, I think we've all done that.
Yeah. I hope that's always played.
Yeah.
Just a fake one with the fingers. Yeah. Yeah. Very well done, buddy. Very, very well done.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that the wonderful comment that you left me today, and also your uplifting words this evening. After everyone else comments, I'll give you a little bit more of my thought process on the poem itself. I don't want to expose my cards too early.
Awesome. What did you think, Raz?
Here you have a descriptive narrative that takes you to someone who has lost members of the family in the past. They're staring at the photos, and although the photos are still reminding them of who were there, what stands out is that the title mentions already that they're faceless. So they go on night after night, remembering and haunted by those they had lost, until perhaps pondering it themselves if there's nothing else to do but one day try to join them in the frame. Like Steve said, yeah, I see his perception, but I have a feeling Joseph Moon might have meant something entirely different while he's talking about cards now on the deck. So I'll go with Steve on that when I saw the narrative, a haunting, one of loss that goes on within the photographs we keep of those who have passed.
Good, very, very, very astute comment, Raz. Yes, I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. Indeed.
No problem.
Where is
what
my
I saw
number one fan?
In the frameless frame.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll add a little something to it after Kay comments. I think you folks will agree with me.
Okay. Well, I think everybody's unanimous in how they feel they see the right, because I definitely have to agree with both Stephen and Raz. I like to think that when we do go, hopefully our children and possibly loved ones that we have touched along the way, they will look at the photos of us in the frame and remember us. But as I told you as well, while I can understand the words, I did tell you, and this is very true, my house is very plain. I don't like to have pictures around. I don't like to look at the pictures of the people that have left, because if I had to sit here and look at them, it would hurt too much. So the pictures of our loved ones that have passed away, they are in storage. And I just don't need to look back at that because, like I said, it hurts too much. But I do like to think that when we leave this life, there are people that will remember us. I do believe that.
Oh, yeah. That's a great comment, Kay. Yes, and depending on how far back you go and or indeed how old we grow, the pictures on the wall, they multiply. Hopefully they don't. And I'm not talking just about the folks that have passed, but if you have them when they're alive, at some point they do pass. Let's say your grandparents and or your parents. Hopefully never any of your children, which and I know you folks are very familiar with that, and some friends as well. And you look back and they, we can sit at our desk and we could write and we could talk and we can sing and we can cry and laugh while looking at the pictures. And then if you notice at the end of my poem, I wrote who will talk to me, but I did it in the terms of it depends on the mood that you're in while you write those lines. Like if you're talking about you're in a gay mood when you're writing that line, you think, well, maybe someone will talk to me and they'll be happy. But on the other side of that, your grandparent, your grandchildren, or maybe your children or your significant other, they may be sitting there in that lonely room looking at your picture, or the other folks or whoever else are there, and they'll be very, very sad. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. It's like, the photos are great to have. Obviously, the fond memories are always better, but I'm just saying, like, I was thinking of how, like, whoever maybe my grandchildren or my daughter, and they're looking up at me, missing me. I mean, they'll remember the good things, but then there are days when they're having that bad day or they're feeling sad. The picture that made them happy yesterday may indeed make them very, very sad the next day. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, and I just put that out there just for the main thought process. I'm hoping that they just always remember the good times, but without joy, there's no sorrow. So it's just like a double-edged sword, and so I said, like, who will be looking at me? I meant what their mood would be. You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
more. Yeah. That's more what I meant by my closing.
Yeah, that's the chill breaker. I mean, until you're those photos, when are they gonna have memories of you, right? Unless whilst I hang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, like they're sitting there while it's like. Every day the photo can say a different thing to you. It's just like a poem. You read something today, and you'll think, "Wow, this is pretty cool." And then you read it a month or two later, and it's like it gets deeper, and it makes you get more involved. And depending on your mood, your mood is that day you read it. It can change. I mean, for the better or for the worse. Obviously, nothing's going to erase the fine memories of you and your family together or anything like that. But like I said, it was more about how the feeling is like that night. Like if you're sitting in gloom in a dim room and you look at the picture and you're feeling down on yourself, you're gonna be a little sad when you look at the picture. You know what I mean? But if you just came out from a nice dinner with friends and you're having a good time, and then you look up and see a picture, well, I mean, and you're happy when you see the picture. You know what I'm saying? It's all about that frame of mind, and it's all about the moment. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad you folks enjoyed it, and I appreciate your great comments. I really do.
I have to go a little further in now, because I can understand where you're coming from there, Joseph. Because I remember the one day when I came home from work and I saw that the picture of my father was no longer on the wall, and I asked Kay where it was, and she said she had to put it away. So I understand that because we talked to our therapist, Dr. Clapp. And one time I did ask him, why is it that the bad memories always seem to be so much easier to recall? And he said that it's because there's stronger emotions attached to those memories, so they're more forward in your brain. So there's memories that I can think of, like I think the worst memory that ever comes to my mind when I think of my grandfather and my father's son is the fact that when they decided to pull the plug on him, and my aunt decided that everybody should stand around the bed while they were doing it and recite the Lord's Prayer. And everybody closed their eyes except for me and my uncle. And we both saw my grandfather consciously shaking his head no,
and Uncle Mark,
understanding what was happening. And I can never shake that image out of my head. That just, I don't know why. It's a very powerful message what you're saying there. It does depend on your mood, what you remember.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, like sometimes we remember the thorn more than we remember the rose itself. So I mean, what hurts us affects us sometimes a lot deeper and longer. Supposedly,
I stare at those old black and white photos of my family.
They says, "I'll just remember the good times." Well, that's
they
all
just
well
scare
and
me.
good.
Period. That they might be watching back after all the years they've been dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's interesting.
Very,
but,
very powerful.
Great. I must say again, great show tonight, guys. I would have tried to call in a little early, but I got tied up, and then I had to make myself a nice. I think I texted you. Kay, I made myself a nice feta cheese omelet with some garlic spinach aioli, we call it here in South Philadelphia, with some mushrooms in it. It was so delicious. I had to eat first, but anyway, I'm all ready to go now.
Well, that's okay.
That's pretty cool. We had breakfast for dinner too.
We did, yeah.
We had pancakes, sausage, and scrambled eggs.
I'm one of those people. I could eat breakfast food. I call it. I could eat breakfast food at any time of the day because that's simply because tomorrow I may wake up at 6 o'clock in the evening and I'll say I'll have some breakfast. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you one thing. I love pizza, but I can't eat pizza for my first meal. When I was in my younger days, I could, but I can't do that any longer. When I wake up, I like to have somewhat breakfast food.
Yeah, beginning to see the lights of Lou Reed.
What's that, Raz?
There's a line from the Lou Reed song that goes, "Wine in the morning and some breakfast at night. Oh, I'm beginning to see the light."
That's pretty good. Yeah. Can't go wrong, though. Yeah. Anyway, do we have any more? Do you have some more poems to get to?
Oh yeah, Kay's getting ready to drop hers.
Yeah, and then after that we have
outstanding! Oh wow, I'm just in time for this is dessert for my breakfast. Outstanding, Kay.
Yeah, I am.
My treat.
Gonna play the SoundCloud. I'm gonna play the SoundCloud I did because I don't want to read
I'll
that.
go back. Okay.
So here I go.
This is a I wrote based off of American Horror Story Season 2, which was called Asylum, and I used some quotes in my from the series itself, while drawn from the character of Lana Winters and Bloody Face, as I always felt I identified with Lana Winters in more ways than people realize. So I call this I Am Lana. Duality of continuum through madness, breeze, nightshade, a dark, unholy union. Monstrosities are birthed through origins unknown, as the afterbirth of life becomes a smoldering realm of hell's shackles. The sacred kidnapping soul speaks of monsters among us, tainted liars dressed up as Sunday best whores, projecting the beauty of massacres through their Tupperware parties, testaments of strength that never existed, screams of show-stopping, chutes and ladders. On this night, a killer of commandments is the devil's right to steal. Don't be afraid of the dark, dear. Let's blow this pop stand and suck each other off. Sojourns of fire and rain, as she whispers, all monsters are human. Let me give you fair warning, my dear. Instincts are everything. Duality of continuum through madness becomes the sacred kidnapping of the soul. Scream sojourns of fire and rain. Why do you look for the speck of sawdust in another's eye, while paying no mind to the plank in your own? A victim of lust, fallen prey to what makes one blind. Your understanding of me is limited. The sacred hand of life is protection of mind, held through love. We've been drawn together like magnets, and I must admit, I didn't fully understand until now. I like the phoenix who had to turn ashes, Bloody Face had to burn, so he could be born again. Indelible elements woven of the serpent, apple tasted, become the formalities of desired taste. As heaven exists through hell, as the salt sears the earth, spirited souls devour all realms, appreciating the bitterness in order to know sweetness. Institutionalized mind, flesh seeker, worn to perfection, vultures, desiring rotten meat to pluck from the bone clean, dedication to darkness, a devotional, relinquished virtue, laughs of irony, disillusionment, shame, disgust upon the raped soul. Extraordinary magic happens when the devil weeps his filth. As one becomes blessed, gift of clarity, speaks of sanity, though to others they see madness. My God would never allow it. The riddle of ashes sweeps below me. In a different life, the sterilized mind is haunted. I am tough, but I'm no cookie. I'm as hard as I have to be, as it has kept me alive.
Yep. Did you want to read the quotes that you wrote too before we get comments, or?
Oh, I actually used many quotes here. Let me open this up here. But yeah, I actually incorporated a few that I did not put in because, seeing as we watch the series, I do remember certain aspects. But I did use the quotes, we've been drawn together like magnets, and I must admit I didn't fully understand until now, but like the phoenix, we had to turn ashes, bloody face had to burn so it could be born again. And let's blow this top stand and suck each other off. Instincts are everything, yeah. Never ignore them at our own peril. And why do you look for the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own? And that young woman is a victim of her own lust. My God would never allow it. And I am tough, but I'm no cookie. I'm as hard as I have to be, as it has kept me alive.
Well done. Well, I know. I remember when we first watched this series, this season when it first came out, and how so many aspects of it was very hard for both of us to get through. But at the time, you were still kind of numb, and I was feeling quite a bit of it at the time. But then we watched it again. It kind of hit us both hard again. But I know that you identified with Lana's character in many ways. This is a dark rite with very powerful metaphors. But yeah, I did have to chuckle when you put that little line in there that we didn't include in the quotes.
I know, because you keep quoting it to me, so I figured I might as well put it in there.
It was funny. I'm trying to remember the actor's name now.
Ian McShane?
Ian McShane, yes, says that. Let's blow this pop stand and suck each other off. That just cracks me up. Because he's dressed in a Santa suit when he says it, and the lady's on his lap, and he says that to her. It's just in context, even it was hilarious. So yeah, but this is just a wonderful and dark rite, and I'm not going to go into the personal aspects of it because it's between you and I. But yeah, that's from there. Raz, what did you think?
Well, before going any further, I'd like to say, Harry Haynes, God bless, may your soul rest in peace. He was an actor in American Horror Story. He died yesterday, and the circumstances are still very well not completely known. I don't know if any of you folks knew that before you opened up the mortuary tonight.
No, we didn't know.
Who was the actor, Raz?
Harry
Looking him up
Haynes.
now.
I'm sorry, who was it?
Harry Haynes.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that today, but I was kind of involved with the impeachment PS. But anyway, I'll have to look at that later this evening. Wow, sorry to hear that.
Comment on Kay's poem. What you have here are certain aspects that were not discussed in Asylum. In certain lines like, these are tainted liars who are dressed up in Sunday's best whores. From the afterbirth comes life. There are origins unknown to monstrosities that are birthed among us. And all of that reminds me of some kind of devious plot, whether or not it's made of public knowledge of actual cult phenomenon from the Bible that's here among us right now, and have no other choice but to play the role of the damned that God had assigned them towards what appears to be our very last days. So that stands out and is kind of slightly disturbing and horrific themes to throw in alongside the series. But it's a very well right. Okay.
Thank you.
What do you think, Joseph?
Well, I can't really find enough words to articulate to you folks how wonderful this poem is on a not only on a poetic level as on a thought-provoking level as well. And I could be wrong, but I think, Kay, this is one of your longer poems, correct? I know your abstract and your free verse is somewhat long, but this is one of your longer poems.
No, actually, I've written longer.
Yeah, I'm saying, but this is like recently you've been doing a lot of like not as long, but this is one of your longer poems. Let's say in the last 2 or 3 months that I've read. But anyway, that's beside the point. This is lovely. There's so many marvelous metaphors, a lot of similes in here, some oxymorons. I like the juxtaposition between good and evil. I like how you mentioned hell and God. Yeah, I mean, this is just outstanding, and this is another poem that I feel that you need to give it two or three reads. I actually like the stanza that goes, a victim of lust, fallen prey to what makes one blind. Your understanding of me is limited. The sacred hand of life is protection of mind held through love. I mean. And then I like the where you made the comparison between the creatures and humans, which is like I mean everyone has a little bit of evil in them, which I guess would be somewhat of a creature aspect. And the raped soul is like, upon the raped soul, your closing line there in that stanza that's really thought provoking as well. And I also like the riddle of ashes swept beneath me. I mean, that's just wonderful. Like I said, there's just so many marvelous metaphors in here, Kay, that this is just a wonderful poish type write. Only I believe with a lot more metaphors and a lot deeper than a lot of prose writes. This is just wonderful, Kay, and it was great hearing you on the SoundCloud tonight. How soft your voice invokes the message through in each line. It's wonderful to hear, Kay. Great job.
Thank you. I will just say that for people who have not seen season 2, it actually covers a lot because it takes place in the early 60s. But in the time frame of the series, they touch on World War II, Hitler, what happened back there, and alien abduction, aliens, termination, placing, rape, institutionalization, devil possession, because the one nun who worked in the institution, she was possessed by the devil, and it caused her to do a lot of things until she fell to her death. There was a lot of aspects to it. It really was.
Yeah. The reason the aliens came in, I think, is because during that period in the 60s, that's when Roswell was kind of a big thing being talked about a lot. So I'm sure that's why that was brought in.
Okay.
But
you covered everything here in this beautiful write, Kay, in this dark eerie write that, just like I said, is very thought provoking.
Thank you.
Now, I was doing some research. I was doing a little research the other day on a poem that I had wrote about that's 18th or late 18th, early 19th century, about abuse of women. I was, I think you commented on my poem, Kay, about like if women actually complained about being abused or anyone, there was a certain time in common law or English law, like if someone made reference to the fact that you were insane, they in fact could have you institutionalized, especially now with someone with money, and they could have you institutionalized, like with no due process, no examination. They just put you right in the, they put you in the institute, put you in a straitjacket, and I would think that would drive anyone insane if you weren't indeed already insane. And this poem actually reminds me a little bit of that, like in terms of how like another person can control another person's life, which
that's really what happened to Lana. She was perfectly well, but then someone just made it seem like she was crazy, and that would happen all the time in the old days. Joseph's right.
Yeah, there's a term for it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what it is, but someone can have you committed, like especially a man with wealth and power. He makes a couple calls and says, "Oh, my wife, she's flipping out. She tried to kill me, but she's selling, she's seeing things." They didn't examine you. They didn't have examine. They put you in and experimented with you. They gave you like some ridiculous shock treatment.
Yeah.
The most bizarre things that you can think of. And if you weren't insane when they took you in, you were going to be sane after the first week or two. That's for sure. So just really crazy things that happen.
Yeah, they actually delve into that with Jessica Lange's character in that season too, where she was like the leader, the boss of the institution. What was she called?
The head mother, I think.
Yeah, but she found out too much about certain things, so they threw her in, and she lost her mind before the.
Well, yeah, they delved into shock treatment and lobotomy into this because the person who claimed she was Anne Frank, they lobotomized her to send her home so she'd stop speaking insanities.
Right, yeah.
And then Jessica Lange's character, they gave her shock treatment so much where it was of high doses that she forgot who she was in certain aspects.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very.
I mean,
now that character didn't believe she was Anne Frank until she was locked up there a sufficient amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say it reminds me of when that character that claimed she was Anne Frank, it reminded me of the movie Frances. It was a movie about Frances Farmer. They had Jessica Lange in it because supposedly Frances Farmer, she was lobotomized after years of being institutionalized. And I was telling you, Stephen, that it made me remember the quote that the doctor had said when Frances Farmer, her character was getting lobotomized, and the doctor said, lobotomy gets them home every time. And technically it did because the character who said she was Frank, after they lobotomized her, then she was back home. She was like the Stepford wife type of person. She was robotic, a perfect wife, mother, which is what the husband wanted all along. And then he got it because of the lobotomy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's unreal. But anyway, folks, I have to depart right now. I just want to say it was a great show and enjoyed the great poetry this evening. I'll say good night and hope to comment on everyone's poems at some point in the morning. Good night, Raz, Stephen, and Kay.
Great speaking
Wonderful
with you,
show.
Joseph, before the coronavirus kills off the majority of the population.
Truly my pleasure. Truly my pleasure. Good night, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, you want to read this one?
I will read for Phil.
From your contest.
Yes. I like this one.
Yeah, we were talking about this one last night for a while.
All right, from Phil the Poet. It's called Lust Tries to Upstage Love. The quote that he wrote to was, quote number 6, that woman is a victim of her own lust. And it goes like this. Lust is love's poor cousin twice removed, trying to upstage the pure generosity of love, living for the moment, that covetous slut, dressed in a red dress, owning the night, living on the diet of one-night stands, enviously staring at love's lasting relationship, growing, blossoming through the years. Lust swivels up in a jealous rage. Lust says, I love me, I want you. Then she'll leave you broken and confused, wondering if this was the real deal, swearing you'll never love again. Lust steals and never gives back, causes love to suffer in silence. The deceiver's gift just keeps taking, while love keeps on giving. Love is patient and forgiving, understands our foolish hearts, a shoulder to cry on at times of regret, when our eyes are finally opened. Love grows stronger and bears children. Lust grows old, hating and grieves alone. She prowls the street, waiting patiently for the next man to fall into her trap. In the end, lust will never upstage love, for it says, give, give, give to weary souls who plunge into the well of darkness just for a kiss from a superficial beauty. End poem. I thought that this was very amazing. Probably left one of my longest comments ever on it. I think he wrote us utter truth. There are those out there who do not know how to love and only hold lust and jealousy in their blackened hearts. They are envious of those who have love and long-lasting relationships and wish to break them for their own selfish needs, all the while claiming to be your friend and brother. The world would be a much better place without them. Excellent, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Raz?
That lust, ever since the beginning of time, and man, it has tried to corrupt as many relationships as possible, but even now, that's been taken to the minimum when it comes to prostitution, where it's legalized, solicitation, and other means that it would do nothing more than corrupt a man's soul, that he does not see what is morally true. So here you have the philosophical question about not so much why love is greater, but then again, how easy it is to succumb to lust. And that's what I like about Phil's right. The classical tone and theme.
Awesome comment. What did you think, hon?
Well, like I said, we ended up speaking about this one for a while this morning when we had woken up. I think this is great, right? I like the quote that he did use. Because, it is very easy for a person to fall prey to their own lust. But I do like how he focuses on both aspects, because he starts off with saying lust is the cousin of love. And
second cousin twice removed.
Yeah, something like that. But as I told him, lust is easy to fall into, but love is a beautiful, beautiful fall into know. Because with love, lust can exist, and when it does, they are a beautiful coupling. And it is possible, it really is, to carry love and lust and keep it alive. It's hard to do, but it's possible. His right, it does focus on the ugly side of it, though, the greedy aspect of it, because sometimes, he also focused on jealousy, too, being jealous of what this person has, wanting it for himself, and instead wanting to take. That's where the greed comes from, and making it ugly, as it can be an unforgiving aspect to it as well. But what's his right? It's simply the jealousy and loneliness, too. And I will say that the one stanza, it stood out to me. Living on the diet of one-night stands, enviously staring at love's lasting relationship, growing, blossoming through the years. Lust swivels up in a jealous rage. He took the quote and he rocked the hell out of it, and he brought such great wisdom with it, too.
It's the truth, too. That stanza is just the most powerful stanza in the whole poem because it's true.
It is. And that's why I quoted it in my comment, because it stood out for me as well. And like I said, that's a great thing, too, with these shows, these contests. We have our moments where we end up sitting here and just talking about the right. And then we have these deep personal conversations as to how we feel, what we see, and how it affects us. Or, that's a great thing, too, to be able to see somebody's right and get the conversation that you do from that.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Okay, let me grab the next one here, because we don't have much more left, so we'll be able to get these all done tomorrow.
All right. Hey, Raz.
Yeah.
Guess who you're going to read for?
You're so silly.
Let me guess, John Gilman, right?
You're right. Give that man a cigar.
I have that honor and pleasure. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I called, just so I can read Gilman's poems, especially after the Christmas special. You should have like a definitive voice here that would like to share the world of his genius. All right, here's the poem, The Serpent and the Apple. The serpent and the apple, a metaphor for life. One is the corrupter, the other is the poison. Which one are you? Do you dare ask the mirror? One lied and connived, the other lost paradise. One played on weakness, the other on vanity. Do you dare ask the color of your soul? Just remember, the serpent slithers in our dreams every night. while we ingest his poison apples every day. The knowledge gained has only led to death. Beware your soul, because there are a million serpents with an unending supply of death's fruit. And right, metaphor, dark, and fantasy themes. Mr. John Gilman.
Indeed. What did you think of that, Raz?
That, in the end, the metaphor of the apple, which is the fruit of knowledge, and the serpent can be seen to intertwine, because what was the fall of man but that the serpent had lied to Adam and Eve that they could disobey and taste of that fruit. So one has to be wary. You can learn everything there is in the world, and even with that, you could somehow misuse what you've come to know out of your own deliberation, or because you did not actually care for wisdom. And so he does speak a certain sense of truth, that the serpent would lead anyone astray simply because they are not more prudent of their own actions, behavior, or what should composite the right. The serpent in and of himself is not knowledge, the apple or the fruit, only the voice whispering again, if you would misuse that which you know.
Yeah, yes, that's an excellent take on this. I think, I don't know, sometimes it seems like when certain things are happening to you, all of a sudden things just keep popping out of the woodwork that remind you of it. And this is another one of those, as Phil's was too. I thought that this was definitely true. Those serpents are everywhere. Some are even your so-called friends, all the while plotting to ruin your life just because of their own petty jealousy. I thought that this was a powerful and definitely very metaphorical poem. Very well done. What did you think, hon?
Well, I have to agree with what everybody said, because from the quote, you didn't reference it, but it was the one about let me go to the topic folder, about the serpents in the apple.
You're drawn together like the serpent in the apple.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I thought that what he brought forth in the right was pretty cool in itself, because, from the standpoint of the quote and the context it was used from the series, as I said, it was one who knew how to corrupt and taint innocence, because the forbidden fruit to taste, it would only taste sweet if the one offering the apple to taste from sings a song in a way that is tempting. And sometimes that is very true. Sometimes being drawn together like the serpents in the apple, and that depend on the person, depend on the moment. Yeah, it can easily happen. This right definitely speaks in a very awesome metaphoric way to the quote, while also bringing forth to series 2, because wasn't Jessica Lange's character saying that?
She said that to Kai, the dude that's wife was abducted, and then the
serpent of the apple.
Yeah. I can't think of the characters' names offhand.
Yeah, because the reference of the quote herself.
Kip.
Yeah.
What was her name?
I had a side note. I mean, wouldn't things be so much different if the past could have been altered, that Adam and Eve just instead drank some cider rather than eat from an apple of forbidden fruit, and then, kind of like barbecued the snake for appetizers later?
Yeah. I often say that if they wouldn't have ate that apple, we'd all be running around naked with leaves on our crotches. Just
we don't know that for a fact. Anything else could have gone on from there, but
that's true.
Can't be altered for some reason, because that goes back to fundamentally what the story began.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a great right. It really
I spoke my piece. Thanks, Steve. You see, sometimes I have wicked thoughts too. You're not the only one, but that doesn't mean that I believe in the darkness. It's not all in your head. I haven't gone that far on in ultra teaching. I understand to you it's very real.
All right, cool. What you gonna drop next on the other SoundCloud, the last SoundCloud?
Yes, and I am going to get that going here.
All right.
But first, let me welcome Rome before I hit the SoundCloud.
Hey, Rome, what's up?
Oh, just like that, he dropped.
Oh, and he's gone.
Okay. Well, how about I get the SoundCloud going?
Okay.
And hopefully he goes back.
All right.
Here we go.
Misconceive. Mild night. Nature speaks without a pause. Evening wise to the twisted scheme. Your tires break. Them slouched. Could there be a cause? Strange you feel. Strange they feel. Light's beam. Is help in need? Could I surely? That voice says, quick, leave. The debate stays. They shift. Eyes peek. Slow and backing. Them staring. So naive. Turned, racing. Steps follow. One cries, others shriek. Emotions baffle reason and misconceive. Light and sprinting. Just a dream, chased by freaks. Mild the night. Nature speaks. The wolves howling. Circled. Him, big and tall. You stall. He goes for the door. Evil glaring. Locks down. Brakes released, and he squalls. Driving fast while the glass tracks, louder the voice says, never cease. The charging pack no longer seen. Twilight quiet, but still you hear them creep. Deception, that unfortunate crash scene? Emotions baffle reason and misconceive. Was it? Could it? Just a dream? Chased by freaks?
And poem.
And Tom. And Rome is here.
And Rome is here.
Hey guys, that was nice coming. That piece.
How you doing, Rome?
I'm good. I'm glad I caught that. That was amazing. That was very nice. Very theatrical. I was in it. That background, the cricket song, it was so well put together. The description was amazing. The read was amazing. It's like, you know, if I want to be scared before I go to bed, that's just the thing right there. Because the read was so smooth, too. It was so smooth, but it's like, oh, do I want to go to bed? I'm so scared now, but I love it at the same time.
Who needs books on tapes or surround sound? It's that. Easy resting from there.
Yeah. I thought that this was very well done. She wrote to the quote.
Instinct is everything.
Instinct is everything. Yes, and we ignore it at our own peril.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight or fright.
Yeah. I thought it was perfectly written to the quote. I think most of the time it is in our best interest to listen to that gut feeling. You know, this is it's pretty cool too. I agree with you, Rome. This is the way she presented it too, with that SoundCloud with the crickets and the howling in the background, really added to the tension. Yeah, very, very cool.
Okay.
Raz, what did you think?
The narrator has conceived a point of mystery and horror, because although they feel like they have a memory that was misconceived, in that very memory, there was someone who was chasing them in the woods towards a car accident that had been fatal. So this speaks along the lines of post-trauma, of blocking out what could have actually happened on some night in the person's past that they just can't put together with their mind. And the result is that sensation of panic, that there were footsteps behind them, that there was this car crash, and there was also misconception, not being able to clearly understand the point in which the mind had reached trauma and went on being haunted by that very nightmare of misconception. Very well put and said.
I want to comment like you when I grow up. That's for sure.
You're already grown up, Rome. I mean, otherwise, why would you have
You're a big boy now.
You always know. You always get so good comments, so in depth. I love it, though. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Raz definitely has some deep comments, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What did you think, hon?
Well, I'm glad that I was able to get the SoundCloud to work, because SoundCloud was being a pain in the behind earlier today for getting it in the studio. So I'm glad I was able to, because the right, it's definitely, for SoundCloud, it pulls the words together even more so as to the emotions we want to bring into the words. I like the quote that she chose, because she played on that about how instinct is everything. And, you know, if we listen to the voice that's telling us that something is not right, we should leave. But if we choose to ignore it, then that's also up to us. Because I'm a firm believer in a lot of different things. Usually I have those moments where I get a gut feeling immediately about a person or something. But when that happens, I listen to it and I tread carefully. Because usually if it happens automatically, it's there for a reason. Her right, it definitely speaks about how man can be vicious, because, you know, animals can be vicious, but at the end of the day, man is the most vicious of them all. They can be beasts, they can be unkind, they can be savage, they can be monstrous. You know, her right is epic. It's pretty cool all around.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, too. I think I said it on the last episode of Mortuary, that if you look up the top 10 most dangerous animals on Earth, humans are the top one. They're the number one most dangerous animal on Earth.
The only predator that could take out most species on the planet.
Yeah.
But put a human in a cage with a lion, see who would win.
Well, that's a different story.
I know a few humans I'd like to put in a cage with a lion.
I hope I'm not on that list, Steve. I mean, guys already threatening to stop me.
You are not on that list, Rez. You are not on that list. Nobody in this phone call was on it. All right, Rome, did you bring something to read, or?
Yeah, I could post it for you. I seen it, and I just wrote it down. Rush. So, I'm glad I was able to call in and it worked. That was awesome.
Cool.
There we go. It was fun to write to, as always. I'm loving the concepts here. I'm having lots of fun.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. The quote I chose was, you two are drawn to each other like the serpent and the apple. And the piece is called Into You. Shaded stencils ravage the core. Bleeding of the single layer peeled back lies alone. And the compost hoping to see life again. Grown from the singularity life is lived. As such the shine attracted the slither. Sensual holds of death constantly contradicting, constricting a normal breath. Sighs of relief seeking cover. From what was once an absolution grew confusion exposed. Yet wanting still to see what was known but never saw. Who pulls the strings to the music that serenades the lust? Whispers brighter pitches for sinners. A lustry air crossed my visions. What mixer chased my bad decisions? What seed to plant when doubt was heavy? still lies the same, no rather back or belly. My will to wither into hers, kept the thrill forevermore content. Much more such to less, she'd not prefer the broken promise of a surge repent. The worst was best, a broken promise to ourselves was foolish pride we fed, to hope for better in our blinded bliss, and took the dark to find a lover, so a rain begins to soak a page that bleeds the ink as we absorb each other. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow. When did you write this? Just 17 minutes ago. Yeah, I thought this was great. The excellent right to that quote too. I definitely see the temptation in this. I see being drawn to somebody that you probably know is wrong for you, but you still want to do it. This is really cool, man. Awesome job.
Thank you.
Yeah, what did you think, Raz?
That everyone who was inspired by that quote must have also been inspired by John Milton. But concerning the poem, the style here of Rome is very freestyle, and at the same time it has that traditional sense of verse, the way he does the entire structure. So you're going in from what could be the stencils or even pencil graph that has been layered off, and as you're peeling that, what you have next is the confusion of breath, and then the realization that there was the other person of whom you had started to draw yourself into. And there you know that whoever is meant by this poem, they were as crucial to the point and the stroke of the canvas piece as the very bleeding of the ink, of which the page itself is that very lover. I mean, this is a great, passionate write. Good work, Rum.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, what'd you think, hon?
No, Raz, you left a hell of a comment there. It definitely is a passion, right? It really is. I like the line, "My will to wither into hers, kept her thrill forever more content. More such the less she'd not prefer the broken promise of a third repent." This does definitely speak to the quote very well. And I think this was the more popular quote.
I think this was the most popular quote of the night.
Based on the quotes that we had. Because it is very easy to be drawn to somebody that can be wrong, or the situation can be wrong. But sometimes it's hard to not be attracted. It's like it's got its own magnetic force, magnetic pull to it, and it's hard to break free from. This is an excellent write. I'm going to have to sit with this one later tonight and leave a better comment.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we've come down to our final poem of the night.
The final one. Who wants to read it?
I would like to read this.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay. And so,
This one kind of threw me for a loop when I first read it, and that's one of the reasons why it ended up being a medal winner in the contest, because it was going along this way, and all of a sudden, sharp left turn. At least that's the way I thought it was. But I like this a lot. This is from Sadie Haven, and it's called Thirst. And the quote that she wrote to was, your favorite, actually. Your song was different this time, much more plaintive and piercing. And it goes like this. The siren sang for them, 30 sweating men in a bar, stinking of booze, of their sweat, of their animals, of their need. Her gown whispered stardust. The song cried for lovers, gone to dust, drowned on salt. Her skin glimmered moon dust, and her eyes were the silver sea, mouth forming soft as cherry blossom around the words written by a dead man. The world spins, and the twin suns shine down, baking the clay and drying the tears that she cannot cry. No, not any longer. The madam watches from the bar, and when it is done, she touches her ink-black hair. Your song was different this time, more plaintive and piercing, she murmured, as a siren demurred. The madam called a price, and the men began to fight. The siren wanted a miracle to give her wings, or give her teeth down there, or to turn her into a pillar of salt, enough to drown their terrible, terrible thirst. End poem. Yeah, that's what I thought too. This right took a very unexpected dark turn in my opinion. The imagery gave me chills, especially after I figured out where it was going, which also made this a very powerful message as well, I thought. Definitely. Wow, definitely interesting and original take on that quote. But what did you think, Raz?
Yeah, here you have an memorial scene, one that cannot be sketched through what we know of time and history. What this poet does is describe a moment of people who have been living out their lives over and over again, repeating the same type of lifetime somewhere else, not even here. And so while it seems what they're hungering for might even be her flesh, or that these cities return back to dust and those double suns that are depicted within the verse, in truth, all this thirst was really the very fact of having to live out their own damnation, to repeat yet again their same mistakes. And I find that to be somehow not in the time frame of our conception of history, but somewhere deeper in the soul where it's true, certain sins just never seem to die. And that's what I got from the poem.
Wow. Very cool. What did you think, Rome?
Oh man, I couldn't help but to think with the imagery. I was thinking the perfect storm. And that perfect storm being the woman, our figurehead, if you will, on the tip of a ship. If you could think of the sailors and the seamen, at the bar drinking, and then her talk of sirens and singing the song. I found it very telling in the line of her gown whispered stardust, the song cry for lovers gone to dust, drowned on salt. All the talk of the dust and the salt was of her, what they were dying on. And, the tales of sirens, brought men from in their ships until they crashed into the mountainside, and, that's how they got their feed, drawn to, and she was drawing them. I couldn't help but to think of being at sea on the ship and that lady on the end, the figurehead at the tip of the ship there, the narrative of that. So it was a great write. The imagery was wonderful. Yeah, you were perfect to read that. You definitely set the tone with that. Great read.
Oh,
amazing piece too.
Excellent comment too, there, from you too, Raz. You guys are both very deep. What did you think, Hunter?
Well, it definitely does speak because, between what you said and Laura said, it definitely speaks. Because when you say certain words like madam, the madam called the price, it speaks of
human trafficking.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Yeah. It definitely speaks of its own elements. Because what I see is the girl wishing to be free, for her song to be heard, to be taken away from everything that she is in at this moment and to just be somewhere else in some way, so that way she won't be used anymore, to be somebody's toy to play with, to rip a piece of her soul apart a little bit each time with what they take.
Yeah, that's what I saw with her wishing she had teeth down there, so she just...
Yeah.
Achoo.
Yeah.
I think that works. That works too, because wishing to be free, if you think though, like the figurehead on the tip of a ship, there's a statue of a woman, so I could also see it like that too. She's like the reverse version of Medusa, like the statue wanting to be free and talking of the men's lust. This is hella deep though.
Yeah. The quote was spoken in the season episode the quote was spoken, it was spoken by the angel of death.
Yeah.
To somebody that wanted to leave Earth. So that, to me, I don't know, the way she used that quote, the way she wrote to it, that also was perfect too, because the girl, possibly in the poem, was wishing she was dead instead of having to do this again. So yeah, this.
Oh yeah,
this
so that
really...
that definitely means hell. I mean, if the angel of death says, "Oh, you repeated the same song more than one time," then your soul's in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. I mean, I only got to hear the two coming in, but it seems like the narrative goes like that men aren't shit. Following the quotes. But you know, ironically, I find it to be like the subtle thing behind it is that, you know, women are the true masterminds and like the handlers of the demise, and the men are just like the stupid sheep that fall into it. Is what it seems to me. You know, like, I mean, even like with my piece and the serpent and the apple, it was that I was just a dumb sheep falling into what was orchestrated by my own lustful needs and wants. But you know, the trap was set by the mastermind, which is, I mean, the woman. I always think, you know, there's a mastermind. You know, behind every great king is a better queen. You know. So.
True. Remember what Eddie Murphy said, right?
What do you say?
It's a trap.
What?
I don't know if I could say that word. It's rated R. The pussy.
Rated R. It's rated R.
The pussy is a trap. That's what he said.
Depended on the circumstance.
Well, yeah, you know, because I remind men all the time, you know, when they get egotistical, I say, well, you know, unless you were born out you were conceived out your father's penis, I think you should respect what brought you here in the first place, you know?
That's true. That's true.
Right.
True, yeah.
I mean, Harry Haynes died fucked because basically his mother and father were fucked.
Yeah. You know, you were brought here. You came out, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, when men piss kidney stones, they cry. So I could never, you know, until the day I see a man give birth, you know, as cliche as it sounds, you know, but it's just like, let's think about that. Let's take that in for a second, you know.
Yeah.
I just used my explicit right this one time. Don't think it'll be normal, Steve, when I call again some other night.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Big announcement?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we got through all of the rights. So first off, I'll say my acknowledgments, and then I'll let you do the rest.
All right.
But I do want to say, for all the people who did call in, Wayne, Raz, Sai, Deborah Lee, Joseph Moon, and Rome, thank you for calling in and sharing your rights. And then, of course, on the board earlier was Everyone One, Jess Graham, Heavenly Angel, Slowly Drowning. And, of course, we read from Jess Graham,
and
Heavenly
Boot
Angel.
Ho, too. Boot Ho was on
Slowly
it.
Drowning, yeah, and Boot Ho was on the board. Sorry, I forgot about that. And then we also read from Chris Nasu, Philip Poet, JEG 325, Laura Goulgwin, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, and Sadie Haven.
All right.
And thank you for everybody who took part tonight and was on the board, called in, and participated.
Yes, definitely appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah.
The other speakers.
The tomorrow night show is the Poetic Inklings of Tomorrow. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. Around 9 p.m. Eastern, I know. Sometimes we go over. A lot of times we go over. And that one is we're reading. Yeah, we're reading poems that are inspired by last words from famous people.
Mm-hmm. Interesting ones.
There are a lot of interesting ones. Yes, Frank Sinatra. I'm looking at a few right at the top. Frank Sinatra's last words. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think my favorite though, Thomas J. Grasso on death row before they fried him. He said, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this." How about that for some last words?
Well, they did, or else we wouldn't be looking at this now.
Yeah. Yeah, just what kind of guy wanted SpaghettiOs for his last meal, you know? How about some lobster or prime rib? But hey, I guess that's what he wants. Yeah, so anyway.
I know mine. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Those were his last words.
He probably was seeing something spectacular as he was leaving.
Yeah.
All those conferences on computer science, after looking at his family, that's exactly the last realization he had in his head. It's some really bizarre, scary stuff that he was that smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Made me say wow.
Thursday night, Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Movement of Sound. We're writing poems to Nirvana songs. So I got to get up and write. I got to write for that one.
Me too.
And then Saturday is.
Saturday's a bit of fun. It's a contest that we have both going. I called it "How I Picked Up Your Mother." It's cheesy pickup lines.
Yes, very, very cheesy pickup lines. Check out that. It's gonna be some fun writes for that. Like,
do you see this van? You want to come into the van? Oh, wait.
The one on the top is let's see. Are you a 90-degree angle? Because you're looking right.
Does this napkin smell like chloroform?
Yeah, that's one. I know that one. Yeah. My love for you is like diarrhea. I can't hold it in.
Terrible. we found some doozies we could not share.
Yeah, there were some that we couldn't share at all. Yes.
Yeah, they were a little too racy. But the audacity to think that would work if you used it on a woman.
Right. Yeah.
That must be a hard right to think some of these lines were probably used on my mother.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I saw another one. I've been reading this numerology book all day, and you're the only one who has the right numbers.
These things were real things, though, back in the day. That's the thing, though.
Yeah.
That was a fly shit to say.
Yeah. I think the worst one that I probably saw that we didn't include, but I'll share it with you all right now, is I heard you're looking for a stud. Well, I have an STD. All I need is you.
That's so bad.
Yeah. It could work for a woman that likes humor. Might crack her up and sweep her off her feet.
It might, maybe.
That's bad.
All right.
Yeah, did you want to say what's coming up on Tuesday real quick?
Next Tuesday is next Tuesday's Mortuary is going to be Edward Scissorhands. Next week we're going to do a Tim Burton / Danny Elfman week. Because that's what Sky, our other boss here, she wanted to do that, so we're doing that for her.
Well, yeah, I extended it for the entire week. We were just going to do a show, but I figured, why not? Because for Inklings, like
Tim Burton has some very profound quotes, and Danny Elfman has written some very good music for Movement of Sound.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is her show, right?
Yeah, so we'll get that figured out. But before we close, I'm not sure, do you have a show coming up, Rome, in LCN, or...
Yeah, I do. It's the 28th. I didn't think of a concept for it yet. I actually got to get busy on that. But when I do it, I usually, it's usually open mic. I try to leave it an open platform for people to come and, enjoy and just, read what they have. Keep the energy like that usually, I would love to request one for you guys, because you saw on the movie codes and stuff. Devil's Rejects.
Oh my God.
Devil's Rejects, yeah.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Definitely, write that down.
Yes.
Tutti fucking fruity.
Yeah.
It was, I know.
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie, he did his own cool version of movies because his take on Halloween was pretty awesome
kick-ass,
too.
yeah. He did a really good version of Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, the John Carpenter version was good, but Rob Zombie brought a whole other new life to it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Modernized it for this time period. The remake.
Yeah.
That's under the Genius
I like this version better, actually.
Too,
I like
with
this
Rob
version.
Zombie.
Yeah. With the guy in the toilet stall. That just cracks me up.
Oh, my God.
Every time. When
whole
Michael
movie.
Myers is on the other side knocking on the door, you don't know who you're fucking with. He gets up and, no, you don't know who you're about to fuck with.
It was just like it was like a horror mixed with like that Dog Day Afternoon or like Reservoir Dogs stuff. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Good.
Well, we're going to close up shop for the night, everybody. Thank you for hanging with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Glad I made it. Thanks for the nice squeeze in. Great show. Always good. Loving the concepts here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Good night, America.
All right. Bye.
Good night.
Good, mate. Which one do you want me to play?
Mortuary closer, right?
Okay. Okay. Here I go.
All right. I think that our opening song always has a bit of a Halloweenish song to it, and this one has a little bit of a Jaws type thing
It
to it.
does. But it's on public domain, so
Yep.
it's free to use.
Yep. We don't have an author
You
for that
forgot
last
the
song,
line,
though, except
Steve. This is Joe Grizzly. B, this is Joe Grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna call it. I need to get some food in my stomach and maybe get
Hope
some
it
sleep.
doesn't have the coronavirus, because that just spread. Like
Well, I don't
our
think so.
telephone services worldwide.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for hanging with us, Raz. Have a good night.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.